welcome to day 2 of 25. It's 12 wild Christmas review days. It's 12. I have 3 Santa hats. I don't know why I've chosen to wear the largest one. It doesn't even fit my head. That looks stupid! Ho ho ho. So yesterday, on 12 Wild Christmas Review Days, we talked about Home Alone 3. And as I stated, that's where the films start to get extremely bad. If you thought Home Alone 3 was bad, Home Alone 4 is much worse. This is Home Alone 4. Released in 2002, Kevin McCalliste fears this Christmas will be different than ever this year, as he now comes from a broken home. His parents are divorced and have gone their separate ways. His dad specifically has started to date a rich woman named Natalie, who he actually plans on marrying. Kevin decides to spend Christmas with his dad at Natalie's mansion, and plans go underway as Natalie prepares for the royal family to come stay with her for the holidays. Things take a turn when Kevin's old arch-enemy Marv and his wife Vera return to kidnap the young crowned prince. Now, Kevin has to use his mind and all the high-tech gadgets around the house to protect Natalie's house and the prince from Marv and Vera. Something that confuses me is when I look up this film on IMDb, it claims to not be a film, but an episode for a Disney show? Like, I think it's like episode 50-something of The Wonderful World of Disney. First off, since when was Home Alone ever a Disney film? I don't think Fox was owned by Disney at the time. To be fair, that shouldn't be the first question that comes to mind when talking about Home Alone 4. The question is, why does this exist? This is not only the first Home Alone film to focus on Kevin since Home Alone 2, but it's also the first Home Alone film to ever have the original characters, but they are all played by different people. I can't even say that this is the first film to have different people in it, because Home Alone 3 takes that spot. Home Alone 4 is in second place. I don't know why they decided to keep the original characters, especially if you weren't going to have the same people play them. I guess at this point Macaulay Culkin was a bit too old to be left home alone. I think Macaulay Culkin was always home alone at this point. He should have been living on his own by this point. Oh, and it's the first actual Christmas film that we're talking about this series. Yay! So number 1, the parents are divorced. Why? This film heavily implies that the events of the first Home Alone took place before this film. Like, it's a year difference. This technically means that in this universe, Home Alone 2 just never happened. I guess after leaving Kevin home alone the first time, things didn't go so well, and the parents got into a fight. That's kind of how they hinted it. So, they split up the parents, which I guess is the only excuse to how you can get so much high tech to deal with the burglars, who, once again, Marv is in this, and I gotta be honest, the guy who plays Marv in this film, I actually like. Like, Marv is the only thing that I actually really enjoyed in this film. He's kind of like the Tim Curry in Home Alone 2. Again, Home Alone 2 was fine. I enjoy watching it, but Tim Curry was the best thing in that film. In terms of this film, the guy who plays Marv is the best thing in this film. He has the best lines, he's overall really funny, and he's not even trying to act like the original Marv. He's just his own person. At times he gives off this glare like he's Mo Howard from the Three Stooges, kind of. Maybe that's only me. Vera, who is played by a woman who I know for a fact has been in a number of things that I've seen, she's okay. I'm not entirely sure why they decided to exclude Harry in this film. Could potentially be because they originally intended for Harry to be in it, but they couldn't find anybody to play him, so they had a woman instead, so they just wrote a woman character. Whatever the case is, Marv is the best thing in this film. Now, in terms of being home alone, Kevin falls in the same pit that Alex falls into in Home Alone 3. Because in this Home Alone, Kevin isn't really home alone. There's a butler in this film, and he's home, he's there, he just doesn't like Kevin. Also, the parent characters, they're just going out on dates or to work, or I don't remember where they go, but they go and then they come back. They're not gone for the entirety of the film. That's what made Home Alone very unique. The family left on vacation and they left a child behind. In Home Alone 3, they just keep going back and forth to work when they should be watching over their sick child. And in this film, they're just leaving for a few hours and coming back. So the term of being home alone is not gigantic anymore. It's just little. Like, you have a little amount of time to be by yourself, and technically by yourself because you're being watched over by the butler. Now let's talk about this royal family plot. What was that about? Why are they there? Why? They show up at the end of the film, number one, but just why was that needed? I think that's kind of what led Marv and Vera to break in the first place. Like, they wanted to kidnap a child. I'm not understanding what the point of that was. Why wouldn't you just break into a really big mansion? The house gets flooded at one point. I don't know. I don't know why they thought this was necessary. The parents get back together in the end. Kevin's mom and dad, they get back together. Natalie is just kind of thrown to the side on Christmas. Merry Christmas. You don't have a fiance anymore. I keep forgetting that Kevin also has siblings. Like, he has a sister and a brother in this film. I guess because there were just so many people in the first Home Alone, like his family was so huge, I constantly kept forgetting that there were other sibling characters that Kevin had. Like, you forget that Kevin only has 2 siblings. So I don't know why they thought this was needed. I don't know why they thought any sequels to Home Alone were needed. The second one was fine. You didn't need all these other ones. It's just bad. It was just bad overall. The writing was terrible. Some of the acting was okay. The slapstick was very typical. Like, oh, he's setting up traps. Look, we're gonna see them fall down. You know, this is where it starts to get very repetitive. Like, we get it. You're defending your house. You know, there's also a thing known as calling the police. That's pretty much all I have to say on Home Alone 4. Overall, it was much worse than Home Alone 3, but at the same time, it did have a little enjoyable moment. I think in terms of these 2 Home Alone films so far, the one thing I liked from Home Alone 3 was the spy element, like I already established, and in this film, I really liked Marv, so they do both have one thing each that I really enjoy about them. Other than that, it's just not that good of a film. Like, it's not needed at all, and I don't like it, and I don't want to watch it ever again. With that said, that's it. That's all I have for Taking Back the House. That's it for Home Alone 4. But we're not done in the Home Alone universe yet. No, not at all. We have another Home Alone film that we have to discuss, which will be done tomorrow, because that is a discussion of its own. So that's all I have to say on Home Alone 4, Taking Back the House. What did you think about this film? Have you ever seen Home Alone 4? Do I ask you what I think you think about these films at the end of these episodes? I don't remember how this series goes. Why am I blanking? Whatever the case is, if you'd like to check out yesterday's episode, you can definitely do so. I'll leave a link in the description. I'll also leave a link to the playlist of the previous 2 Home Alone review videos I did that were part of 25 days. But that being said, that brings us to the end of day 2. Join me tomorrow where I talk about Home Alone 5, another sequel that nobody asked for. And thanks for watching The Wild Review. I'm The Wild Reviewer, and you just saw me review a thing.